So we are already very well aware that there's a lot of things happening right now with the Marvels, not just the fact that it went through its worst MCU opening in history, but to top things all off, we know that there were a lot of cutbacks with this films, a lot of alterations that were made at last minute by Kevin Feige and director Nia DaCosta, and Disney right now is panicking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. In fact, 2024, the only Marvel movie that we will be getting is Deadpool 3. Captain America 4 and everything else has been delayed, and there's a lot to talk about Captain America 4, by the way. There's a lot of things happening with that revolving around its reshoots, but focusing on Brie Larson, there's a lot of things stirring up right now when it comes to the Marvels. We also know that there's a lot of celebrities within the Hollywood bubble that are actually rather upset about how people are reacting to the Marvels and its box office collapse. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, the one thing about Brie Larson is that she is definitely one of the insufferables, as I like to say. You know, you got Rachel Zegler in the mix, you got Peter Dinklage because he supports Rachel Zegler through and through about what she did in the past and her comments. And that's just to name a few, by the way. We also have, on top of that, Amber Heard and Phoebe Waller-Bridge. But Brie Larson, alright, we all know that she's a very self-absorbed individual that really cares nothing about the real core Marvel fans and puts full blame on a specific group of people, or at least that's how she words it out. Let's get into all of this, shall we? Now, one thing about Brie Larson's view about the current status of the Marvels, given that the box office disaster is only set to receive worse results this week, one major development has to actually do with Brie Larson's response to the ever-failing film directed by Nia DaCosta. Now, Brie Larson delivered the following to everyone. I think the biggest problem that we are dealing with is the fans, and obviously this film was made for women. So the problem that I think that we are dealing with are not just men, but men who feel that this film belongs to them. This film was made for both women and men, well, that support feminism and equality of women. I think that we can just ignore the males that want nothing to do with a female ensemble cast because that's what they are not really ready for right now. I think Nia made one of the best MCU movies out there, and the toxic minority that we are dealing with will try whatever cards they have to convince others to turn away from this film. And that's just poor behavior on their part. This is a film that I think celebrates the product of having multiple female leads, taking the show in the spotlight over men. Men just always want to see a strong female or strong male around over the female, and I think that's the problem right now with the Marvel Universe, is that we don't have too many films like this one that puts a team of female superheroes in the mix and in the middle of the action. This is something that I saw coming, and Nia did as well, that we would be dealing with the same type of fans who had problems with the direction of Star Wars, focusing on that concept with the female lead. And it shows how cowardly part of our audience really is. Again, though I don't hate males, I just dislike the entitled males who feel it's necessary to drown a film that puts the women in the spotlight. Now guys, let me just pause here quick before I move on to the next thing that Brie Larson elaborates. The thing that I find to be so contradictory about this is that we know that Disney is always lying to its audience. Specifically Bob Iger, saying that they're not about agenda, they're not about this, they're not about, everything about devaluing art. Even Bob Iger said that they do not celebrate any kind of agenda behind the scenes, and it's obvious that that is actually what's happening. Not just with, of course, all of the upcoming live-action remakes, a great example being Snow White, and future ones as well that are going to be announced by the first quarter of next year, by the way. By the way, on top of that, we know that Brie Larson is someone that really can take criticism well, and I think that's exactly what we're seeing here. This is exactly why she's pointing the finger that this movie was really made for women, and she's blaming it on the toxic males, the toxic men that she sees as people that really are against female leads. And I can't stress this enough, I know I've said this plenty of times, we have no problems with female leads. The greatest example that I like to kind of throw out there, and yes, I may throw this out there a bit too much, but Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2. Well-respected movies that really have a lot of female leads thrown in there, and it just works. You know why? It's written well, and it's directed very well, and it comes naturally. It's not like Quentin Tarantino just woke up one morning and said, let me just make a movie about women and throw it on the big screen. No, it was all about the story, and it just evolved, and it kind of just unraveled that way to support roles like that. And I think that's the problem that we're dealing with when it comes to the Marvels, is that this is really like a in-your-face type of movie, and that's exactly what a lot of the fans actually and the critics are complaining about. This movie's an aimless film, it really wasn't well written or directed, and there's only a couple of tidbits here and there that they liked overall. So, moving onwards, she goes on to elaborate and conclude, this film was written well beyond my expectations, and Nia's work as a director was so well done for this thing with me. I had such a blast getting to work with her because we have so much in common, and we share the same thoughts on parts of the toxic culture that we deal with that celebrate our failure. But what gets us past this is you need to remember it's just a loud minority of entitled fans that feel that Marvel is their property, much like how they felt with Lucasfilm's projects in recent years. It's just something that you have to get past, and no, we don't see this film failing with its financial status. Films have fluctuations all the time, and I believe that's what we are dealing with here. So I ask everyone to come see this film to celebrate women on the big screen and a potential new beginning to the Marvel Universe. This is something that should have been done years ago, and I cannot wait for things like Ironheart. The entitled male demographic just needs to keep quiet and let this movie speak for itself to women and males who support feminism. Now, again, I don't know what she's talking about with males supporting feminism and all this stuff. Look, if this movie was written well, and if it was well directed, and I know I said this already, this movie would work itself out, and it would be 100% working at the box office as normal. And that's exactly why even the critics are turning their backs on the Marvels, even woke Hollywood. A lot of, journalists out there, a lot of people that usually really kind of defend all this garbage, are actually turning against the Marvels. I mean, that's how bad this movie really is, and how it's really just not working. And this is exactly why I said just a week ago, expect to see this movie on Disney Plus at least, at the latest, I would say late December. I would not be too shocked about that. Going into the new year, at the latest, you're gonna see this thing on Disney Plus. So, Brie Larson, yet again, really can't take criticism. She's absolutely losing her mind. She doesn't really know what she's talking about, and she doesn't really understand what the core of the Marvel fan base really just supports and wants to see in theaters or at home on their television. So anyway, guys, drop a comment below, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.